Idiot Radio, taking it to the edge and back. Scotty.
I'll take Scotty.
Are we on? Alright, so you're listening to Scotty Presents. I'm your host, Scott Israel. Todd DeFazio is my producer. We're on idiotradio.net, and my special guest today is Garrett Titlebaum. Garrett, what's up, yo?
Nothing, man. Scott, I'm happy to be here. Happy
I'm
to
really
be on
glad
the podcast.
you came, yeah. You are a stand-up comedian?
True.
Yeah.
I think people would say that.
Yeah.
I say that when asked.
I've seen you up there telling jokes before. That's where I got that impression.
Yeah. I've been telling jokes here in Pittsburgh since about 2015, middle of 2015.
Like June?
I think so in 2014 I was doing improv, and I did a total of 7 open mics that year.
All right.
Then it was about halfway through 2015 I had done some acting and then kind of shifted to a little less improv and a little more stand-up.
So what made you lean away from the improv and into the stand-up?
It's nice to get paid.
Oh, all right.
All right. I mean, there's no money really, unfortunately, in improv. I was finding ways to continue to take classes by volunteering and working at different theaters and trying to.
Sure.
That's actually how I did my first podcast, was through the Steel City Improv Theater, just trying to get to know other improvisers.
So does the podcast predate the comedy?
So, no, podcasting was at least when improv was going on. Late 2014, I had a show, and then again in 2015, I had a show. And now, since 2016, I've been doing it. It's nice to see he's working consistently for a little over 2 years.
That's awesome.
2
and
years
that's a weekly show.
It is, every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday.
125 weeks in a row.
That is impressive. No sick days, no vacations?
If it's not up by Tuesday, it's been up by Wednesday.
That's impressive.
Late every single time. Yeah, I haven't missed that.
I haven't
2-day
hit
window.
1 year, and I already missed at least one show. We were supposed to do this last week.
Well, you are kind of based on the confines of what you do through the radio, set you have to do it at a certain time each week.
Yeah.
I pre-tape most of my stuff. I've done a handful of live ones with studio audiences, but for the most part it's pre-taped either at my house or at the Unplanned Comedy Theater.
I would love to have a studio audience. That just sounds like fun. Do you have them laughing on prompt, or do you just leave it up to them whether they think it's funny or not?
You try to play to them a little bit, but ultimately my format's pretty much an interview, so it's been kind of a panel where I've had 2 or 3 guests, so it's more about me juggling my time to get to everybody and not leave anybody out in those situations.
Yeah.
But I did it for Art All Night, my first episode, which is in Lawrenceville every year, and then I did the Baltimore Podcast Festival in 2017. Yes. Yeah, last year.
Yeah, that's cool. So I mean, what's it like
to do a live podcast?
Well, I mean, to do it the way that you do it. How,
I mean, I've loved getting to know people. I've always been kind of curious about folks, and I had in high school done journalism as the editor of the school newspaper. Mm-hmm. So finding a way to promote myself, with all the comedy stuff that I had going on, whether it was improv or acting or stand-up, and get to know other comedians, actors, and kind of just pick their brains about how they manage their time, how they're able to pursue what they love doing and still make enough money to live. Because everybody has a different story. I bet there's nobody else in Pittsburgh who's an author, and that's why they started doing stand-up. That's at least a unique perspective.
I hope it's unique. That gives me... I mean, I feel like it gives me anyway a difference, but it hasn't given me an edge yet.
Do you find that you are writing still novels and stuff and finding ways to be funny in them?
No, I have redirected a lot of my creativity toward writing jokes.
Okay.
Towards stage presence, because that really freaked me out. Did that freak you out? Just standing and talking in front of them?
I think doing improv before I did stand-up helped that a lot.
See, I want to do the improv. I just got to work out the money and the schedule,
To be able to get comfortable on stage again and, know that things might not always land, jokes aren't always funny.
Yeah.
And just feeling comfortable as a stage personality, I think improv really set me up for success.
Right on. Now, which company did you study with?
So I took classes in 2014 through the Steel City Improv Theater.
Yeah.
I did 1, 2, and 3 there. I was on a house team, couple different house teams. My first one was with Ian McIntosh, who's a stand-up, so we kind of started
Right on.
around the same time, and a handful of other really talented people. I then went on and did stuff through the Unplanned Comedy Theater, was on
Okay.
a house team there briefly, and then did the same thing. Didn't take classes, did a few workshops at Arcade,
All right.
but I've done a house team there as well.
So you hit the big 3 as far as improv groups in
I've
Pittsburgh
been trained at least, or gotten exposure to all the kind of schools that we have.
That's
and
cool.
I think that's a smart way to go about it, because a lot of people tend to find themselves in like little pockets
Sure.
sometimes, or they get comfortable at one theater.
Right.
And I think our city is blessed to have a variety of spaces that you can see
Yeah,
different
for
types
sure.
of comedy in.
We've got a pretty diverse crowd of improvers and stand-ups and podcasters.
Yeah, certainly.
You know?
Hopefully we grow to be a little more diverse in
Yeah.
the different types of voices we have and different types of shows. But it's been great as somebody who's been doing my podcast now for 2+ years to see a lot of new shows pop up or have people ask me to come on their program, because it's always
Yeah.
a chance to find a few new listeners.
Sure.
Garrett Titlebaum, it's nice to see he's working if you're looking for a new podcast every Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, that's great. Now, I remember you had a contest for there's a talking hamburger on your show now.
So I, at Unplanned Comedy Theater, have done a variety show with a character that I know named Lunch Meat Grumblekraut, who was a talking sandwich. And that is a nice way for me to get to do a little bit of sketch comedy with Will Ness, who I think is one of the funniest people in town.
Yeah,
So
I got to have him on here.
Will and I, unfortunately, schedules-wise, I was traveling a lot this summer with a new job, so I wasn't necessarily as available. I had a few weddings and different things.
All
but
right.
for about a year, we were the first Saturday of every month at Unplanned Comedy Theater.
That's awesome. What was that like as an experience? I know they're good at getting people in there, and they just moved to a new space. This year, right?
No, so it's a little over maybe a year, coming up on 2 years that Woody's been there. Before that, he was at Cativo,
right?
So he was hosting shows there. I hosted an open mic for him on Thursdays.
That's cool.
Has ended. It was 2 years ago. This month was the last time I hosted that open mic, and I've been doing trivia instead that night of the week.
You like the trivia?
I love hosting trivia.
We do the trivia over at Ham Bones. It's a big Wednesday. What day is it over at Cativo?
I do trivia actually at the Beer Hive on Thursdays, because they have stand-up on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And then Thursday nights before I head down to Ham Bones for the open mic, I'm there from 7 to 9 playing songs and asking questions.
That's pretty cool. What kind of subjects do you guys run into at the trivia night?
Sports, music, pop culture, anything, man.
Yeah.
Science.
Right.
That's what I always do.
Science.
You got to have bits, but I have regular teams that come out, and it's a blast. Yeah.
Do you get laughs at the trivia night?
For sure. I get a lot.
Great.
I'm there to entertain. I miss hosting the open mic because you don't get as much FaceTime with newer comedians. I don't get to work on my stand-up as much as I'd like to, but it's still a chance to be an MC. It's still a chance to host, have a microphone in your hand, and be a personality that people look forward to seeing every week. And it's nice because hopefully it builds a group of fans that want to come out and see me when I'm telling jokes.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get back to stand-up.
Absolutely.
Where was like the first the set that you want to think of as your first set? Because I know I did the same thing. Like I did a set, and then years went by and I did a set, and like months went by and I did a set, and then I started doing it every week. I don't know where to count the start.
Sure. So, like I was saying, I did about 7 open mics that first year.
Yeah.
And then in 2015, when I was like taking it more seriously, I got booked by Krish Mohan for a show at the Art House.
Yeah.
And I think I was supposed to do 15, and he ended up not lighting me. I did 20.
Wow.
But I'd only been going out for maybe like a month at that point.
That's
as far
impressive.
As, like, open mic
I don't
sets.
think I could do 20 right out of the gate like that.
So, I told some stories. I had some fun, and it was one of the first times and one of the only times I've done it without a microphone, which is always a little weird.
Oh, wow, yeah. And that was down at the Art House?
The Art House, yeah, like a living room show.
Are they still doing that?
They do. I know
Like
Liz
once a
Tripoli
month?
runs a few mics there, and they've done a few different like open mics and different showcases. But at least I haven't seen the new space that they have in Garfield, their old space.
Oh, right on.
They have two now.
That's cool.
So I'm not as familiar, but
Yeah.
it's nice to have a variety like one-off shows like that. Nice chance to get up in a house party type environment.
I miss house parties. That was something I did when I was younger. I never anymore. I don't even want to get, if somebody invited me to a house party, I'd be like, I don't, like a real one. I definitely goes to a comedy show in a house, but like, I don't know, man. Any kind of actual party, I think I'd just rather stay at home and.
Is it the word party that intimidates you?
Oh, just like, I know, like, I really liked parties when I was like in high school and in college, and it did me no favors. So I think that like I don't have the energy or drive to like it would be work to go to a party.
Scott, you're your own party, you know?
What?
You're your own party.
Yeah, I have a, yeah, well, I don't know what that means. But sure, why not? It's too early to go down there. Podcast.
How have you enjoyed hosting your show now that you've been doing it for a few months?
Oh, well, you know, I don't know what I think about me.
Okay.
It is,
Not self-aware yet?
oh no, I'm self-aware. I just don't know.
What you think about yourself as an interviewer?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think this is a good practicey thing for me.
Okay.
I
good
think
way to look
I've
at
got a
open
long
mics
way
and
to go. Yeah,
podcasting and
as
sure.
far as interviews.
Well, it's like I said, I had 2 shows before the one that I've had now
you-
with some success and like some acclaim behind it, which is nice.
Sure, yeah. At least all the other comedians know about your show, and maybe we'll add a couple more people to listen and give it a shot.
Hopefully, have you found that it's easy to get feedback from listeners or find out what people think of your program? Because that's something I've struggled with at least.
I don't trust people when you're, because
Just generally across the board.
well, no, in this particular situation, and I started this like when I started writing for Sirius in college. Like it was for fun.
Sirius Radio, you were doing promotions.
Writing.
You were writing for Sirius.
For Sirius.
Sirius XM.
For seriously for myself, like taking it seriously.
Is that when you started writing your first book that was published?
No, that was just, it was all practicey stuff. But I'd ask my friends to read like a 7-page short story and then tell me what you think. And like, it wasn't helpful feedback.
You think
people are afraid to hurt your feelings.
Yeah, that's true.
And all that stuff. So what I just look at the numbers, and it usually has more to do with the guest than with me.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll give you that. It's nice to see he's working.
Yeah.
Bump, you know.
Yeah. Oh
Whatever
no, that'd be
Check
be
out
great.
Scott. He's a nice fella.
Yeah, but I mean, I do enjoy the one-on-one. I'm doing comedy, so you do stand up. I
And
do
there's
stand
that
up.
immediate feedback, like you were saying. You
Oh,
don't trust it when
there's-
it's
yeah.
giving a paper to a friend. When you're
Right.
doing a joke, there's no way for you not to get the immediacy of response from an audience.
Oh, absolutely, and that's a great angle. I wasn't even thinking about that, but I was thinking like, as far as one-on-one talking and group talking, like group talking is weird and difficult, and that's what stand-up is. But the one-on-one is a whole different animal that I like to like you were saying earlier. You get to hang out with your friends, get some FaceTime,
Yeah,
meet
chit-chat,
new
get to know
people, get
people.
to know
And-
people.
And you see, that's one of the reasons like I was so interested in getting to know people better, because you see them on stage,
Yeah.
and they get to, especially improvisers and stand-ups to some extent,
Sure.
get to play a character,
Yeah.
get to put on a little bit of a persona up there.
Oh, yeah.
You get to hang out with them at the bar or in green rooms during shows and
Yeah.
stuff, but you don't often get the chance to like sit down for an hour and talk to somebody about what's going on in their life,
Sure.
what their process is for comedy, and how they balance that with their day job and their existence outside of jokes.
For sure. So let's talk about all of that. How do you balance? I'm struggling with that because I have added another day job, sort of job, that it keeps weird hours.
Sure.
So, and you have a job.
I do.
And you do. It's hard to get to open mics when you have to wake up early.
Definitely.
How do you reconcile this? How do you get out?
I try to get out every Thursday, no matter what.
No matter what.
Because I'm hosting trivia already, and I'm only like 15 blocks down the road.
Yeah.
So it would be dumb for me not to go to the best mic that we have in the city, which
For
is
sure.
Hambones, and make an effort to be there because that's where you see everybody. It's like
Yeah.
Cheers for me.
Yeah,
Here,
yeah.
Hambones has been my home for the 5 years that I've lived here in Pittsburgh.
That's great. I really do think the comedians are like family.
Yeah,
like, I really like them
absolutely.
as people, and when they do well, I get really jealous. You know, family.
Do you struggle with jealousy as far as other people getting booked on things and wanting it?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then it comes back to when are you getting out? What mics are you doing? Are you getting better? What are you working on? And I ask those questions too when I'm not
For
getting
sure.
the right things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what things that you like? Do you set goals? Are you somebody who, as far as like
yeah.
your process goes?
Yeah, I'm big goal. I know I come off as I don't know, but I'm definitely very goal oriented, goal execution kind of person. When I could get out 4 times a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I have a lot of weeks for the last couple of years. I tried to do a different set every week, and I did that for the most part. But I'll take 3 or 4 weeks off, and I won't go out.
Sure.
And then I'll
we
hit
all
it,
have spurts.
right? And then I'll hit it really hard for like 4 or 5 months.
But when you're going out on a 4 days a week basis, doing the same set,
Well, I was.
trying to get it better. But what
Now
are you
I'm-
doing with those jokes? Are you changing them from show to show?
Well,
Are
yes.
you-
So what I did on Monday, they were rough, and hopefully on Thursday and or Friday, depending if I went on the Friday night, which is the 10-minute show at the Parkway out in McKees Rocks. So there would definitely be a progression from start to finish, but by the end of that week, I was tired of that material and I didn't want to do it anymore. So I'd go on to the next whatever I could come up with. But what the big accomplishment for me is I started audio recording everything every week.
Good.
So I don't have to memorize where the people laughed. I don't have to memorize the nuances of the joke. And I can weed out the extraneous garbage that is in there.
There's a lot of lines
Yeah.
that don't get laughs or aren't furthering the narrative.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
just not necessary. I mean, did you ever write a poem? You know anything about poetry?
In high school, I wrote some poems.
All right,
I don't know
but-
that I've done much since.
But like
AP
somebody
English,
told you
honors
how
degree.
to measure, right? Meters and syllables and things like
Haikus,
this.
I know.
Yeah, 757 or 767 something.
Sounds right.
Yeah,
It's
something
like an area
that.
code.
It is. It is like an area code. But
I have an uncle who writes a haiku every day on Facebook.
oh, that's beautiful. I don't know how I actually feel about that, but that's hard. So good for him.
You're a writer.
Yeah,
it's
for
good
sure.
like anything else. It's
oh
good
no,
to take an
I
exercise to
I
yourself.
take massive breaks off.
How
but
many books have you finished, though, that are published? And how many have you finished
3
generally?
full novels I've finished.
Okay.
I'm more than halfway through a screenplay that I'm very happy with so far.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm going to get back to it in the fall, and it just turned fall like today, so I better get back to it.
Now, do you want to be behind the camera? Would you want to be the lead in this story? What's your goals?
Oh, no, I'm not an actor.
Don't want to be on camera ever.
Man. Well, I mean, like briefly as like a cameo here
Okay.
and there.
Have one good line in the background of a famous movie.
Or,
That's my goal.
Or a rant. Do like a Tarantino gave himself like a crazy rant here or
Sure.
there. Or
Just an
Hitchcock
oddball
where you
character
just kind of walk through.
Like a Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah, there's a bartender in the movie I'm writing now that I would like to play.
I can
It's
see
like
that.
4 lines.
Plenty.
I'll remember 4 lines, right? I'm not a memorizer,
That's
which
what
is
stresses you out?
well, yeah. That's one of the
your
things
dialogue,
about it's
your
one of the
words.
things about stand up that stresses me out. Yeah, no. Well, one of the reasons I'm a writer is because I'm not great at memorizing, so I write it down.
Makes sense.
Right? So then how am I going to word it? But anyway, my point with poetry is that words have a lot of weight.
Certainly.
And I feel that jokes are a lot like poetry. And that you could take a word out, and if it's a really good joke, it'll ruin the joke.
Isn't that the best part, is nerding out over like the differences between none and zero?
Oh, yeah.
Trying to decide
for sure.
what to say when,
Uh-huh.
cannot, can't. I mean, you can
I
try
love
it a
that
million
nuanced
different
bullshit,
ways.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that you feel when it plays differently to an audience.
Oh yeah. Well, you can feel it in their response, and it depends on the audience too. Like, some people will never laugh at, not that I do dead baby jokes, but just to put it, just some people are never going to laugh at that. But Anthony Jeselnik has basically made a career out of it.
Sure, trying to be offensive, over the top.
Yeah, whatever.
Push that button.
Whatever it is.
Make
I
people
mean,
a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Is that ever your goal on stage, to make people uncomfortable?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, is it, you
No,
try and
I have
steer
some
away?
stuff. I love a cringe. I love a groan, sometimes more than a laugh.
Yeah.
And if I'm if it's not going well, and you can double down and you're like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fun sometimes.
Yeah.
You have all the power up there to determine how it goes.
I sometimes wonder, because a lot of times the stage is away from the door,
Sure.
that I wonder if I'll get out alive or at least unharmed, because have you ever really pissed somebody off and you can see the hatred in their eyes?
Yeah, certainly. I was pretty young into comedy. I've been doing it about 6 months. Not hatred. I won't say that I ever... Well, I've had some people say some anti-Semitic things to me on stage.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah, that's Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
But I was doing a show
Really
in Central PA at a fire hall.
Oh, well, you kind of asked for it then, didn't you, buddy?
Well, no. So Zach Funk had booked me on it, and he had looked at my set list before I went up there, and I was at the time doing a joke that referenced September 11th.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, hey, man, think about where we are. Maybe don't do it. And it was like
That's
one of the
great.
first times
That's
I had
great.
done 15, so I'm
Yeah.
like 7 minutes in,
Yeah.
and it's going
Oh,
okay,
about
and I
halfway in.
throw it up there, and just like stone silence, uncomfortable. And then like for the next 2 or 3 minutes, you try to slowly work the body and jab them a little bit. It's like a boxing match. You just got to get the next round, and eventually you can win them back over. And then I closed fine and got out of there okay.
Yeah, I really like your attitude about it. You're not bitter or angry that they just couldn't laugh. See the humor in the tragedy.
Never their fault.
No?
I think that's a young comic ideology of blaming the audience, and I really, at least, I have to take responsibility for whether it goes well, whether it doesn't go well up there.
Sure.
And it's my job to take care of them and let them feel like it's safe to laugh about whatever subject it is.
Right. Well, I know that I approached a very taboo subject at the Parkway last time I was there. And it was a really weird experience from my perspective.
Okay. That's a really fun room.
Oh, it is a fun room.
I think Zach Sipley does a great job up there.
Zach Sipley is incredible. So I'm doing this stuff, and they hate me. But I hit the punchline, and they laugh.
There you go.
And then after they get a hold of themselves...
All that pain goes away real quick.
Yeah, but it comes back because they hate me again.
Yeah.
And then I hit another punchline, and they laugh, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna keep doing this, because I was like, I'd hit the punchline, they'd laugh, and I'd kind of steer it away from it, but I didn't have anything else, so I'd bring it back.
A little rope-a-dope.
Exactly,
Yeah.
the rope-a-dope. And I kept getting them, so I kept running with it, and I mean, they hated me, but they laughed. So that's
Why do you think they hated you?
because I was criticizing them heavily.
So
Yeah.
you were being...
I was kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But isn't it sometimes, if they're still enjoying it as the act,
Yeah.
that it's okay to hate somebody?
Well,
It's
I
like
mean,
being a wrestling heel almost. And I don't know the lineup or how the temperature of the room changes as you get up compared to who was on before.
Right.
But as you're somebody who hosts once in a while,
Yeah.
you very much have to think about that as you put together a
for
lineup,
sure.
the ebbs
For
and
sure,
flows,
for sure,
especially
yeah.
at an open mic where the talent level is disparate between different people.
Yeah, it's a fun room. You ever do that room? You do that room
I have.
sometimes.
I've done it up there a few times, and then I was actually in a TV show that shot 2 episodes this year in Altoona.
What TV
and they
show?
screened both episodes
The Mind
there.
thing?
No, it's actually an independent show.
Okay.
Guys, called Stoneman Productions,
Yeah.
but the TV show is called Almost Grown Ups. So it's me and 3 other guys, and they're like
Are they comedians?
high school buddies. No, they're all
Okay.
actors from here in town.
Yeah?
2 of them have been on the podcast, and as well as the makeup artist who did a very big like fake mustache for me.
Oh, that's
Made me
cool.
look like Mario from
Yeah.
the video games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I've done 2 episodes of that, which I always wanted to be George Costanza and like a good TV character kind of scumbag, and so that's what I got to do this year.
You know what I love about Jason Alexander that not everybody knows? Is that the first thing you could recognize him in right before Seinfeld was Pretty Woman.
Yeah, where he tries to rape Julia Roberts.
Yeah, where he tries
He's not a good guy in that one either.
Try to rape the Pretty Woman, and then he hits her, and then Richard Gere has to go in and manhandle it. Richard Gere needs a portly little Jew to manhandle.
I think that's probably why Seinfeld struggled those first 2 years to get good ratings. People weren't ready to
Really?
see that. No, I'm hypothesizing.
Because there was high praise
theory.
for Jason Alexander.
Well, he's a
for
classically
that,
trained actor.
Yeah, yeah.
He did quite a bit of theater before Pretty Woman.
Would you ever consider dialogue pre-written theater?
I find it to be a little bit interesting as somebody who writes their own material and like comes up with my own jokes to then like have to take somebody else's words. And
well, I mean,
be a
what
character.
if it's somebody you really respect? Like, would you do Shakespeare in the Park?
Maybe if there was a good opportunity to do it. I'm intimidated by the amount of scripts, especially for live theater.
That sort of thing. I don't know if I'll remember those
lines. You get to retake it. You don't have to be perfect.
Well, in movies, sure, but not in live theater.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I think I would be more intimidated by a play than I have been by the acting opportunities that I've had. Improv, I mean, you get to make it up as you go along, and it's all dependent on how you and I do together.
Right.
So if I'm failing, you're failing. So the goal, I guess, is if you're good improvisers and you work together often enough, you make sure that you play to each other's strengths so nobody fails.
For sure. Yeah.
Have you done any improv back when Five and Dime was like a split mic?
No. Well, okay, yeah, but I was like, that was when I really first started coming out, and like my personal life is really not in a good place, and like I personally was in a pretty terrible place, so I'm not sure that I learned much except for some basic rules.
Okay.
And that was all on me because I was very unfocused and just freaked out about life. And then talking in front of people, like I said, I'm not a big, so that's like a thing.
Sure.
And 2016 ended bad, and 2017 was just hard, and 2018, this year has kicked my butt. But I'm looking forward to next year, man.
Hey, man, final quarter's about to start for our this year. What are you trying to get done before
end
of 2018 to make sure it ends on a better note?
Is that a question?
Yeah, I'll ask you questions.
All right. Well, I'm working on the Pretwitzel.
Is that the movie, the script?
No. But I'm doing that too. The Pretwitzel is the idea of a ham and cheese sandwich inside of a pretzel.
I like it.
I made one last night. I want to change up a couple subtle things, but I think it turned out pretty good.
I just saw in California they passed a bill this past week that made it legal for you to sell food that you make in your house, that you don't have to have a restaurant license or anything now. So if you want to relocate, if you really want to work towards this goal of making this Pretwitzel.
Well, no, I'm hoping that we'll be able to offer it at Ham Bones because I'm cooking there.
Now that you're in the kitchen, that makes sense.
And
Ham Bones, great menu.
Yeah. I just want to tweak it a little bit. And I think that the next time I work, we'll offer the Pittsburgh dip for a special.
Okay.
And it's a sandwich that I have invented. It is barbecue smoked pulled pork on like a hoagie roll, and you dip it in nacho cheese, and that's the Pittsburgh dip. I think people are gonna like it.
That's the Pittsburgh au jus sauce.
Yeah, that's the au jus is it's just nacho cheese. Well, it's just gravy.
I like gravy.
It's a fancy name for gravy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Liz kept yelling at me the other day, so au jus, or somebody did. Maybe it was Jocelyn, I don't know. And I was just like, it's just gravy, man.
Have you worked in kitchens most of your life?
A lot of it.
Yeah.
A lot of kitchens, bars. I had an office job once. That was not conducive. You ever see Joe versus the Volcano?
No, one of the few Hanks I missed.
Oh man, well that's how I felt. If anyone listening knows the reference, working in an office, I worked at a loading dock in Long Island City, Queens for a year.
Okay,
that was actually fun. I like menial work, which sucks because it pays shit.
Yeah, it's not a high-paying industry.
Never. But there's something about a job that's both physically and mentally demanding that I like.
Were you writing while you were in New York? What was going on while you were doing that?
Yeah, I wrote my first 2 novels there, and revised them in Arizona after I did.
I forgot that you were based out of Arizona for a while.
Oh yeah, I was out there for like 3 years. I became a yogi and did motorcycle mechanic school. I'm a certified Harley-Davidson mechanic, though I have not used that at all, which I don't feel bad about because I haven't used my English degree much. I did a short stint.
You're a published author, so I guess to some extent we'd count that.
Yeah, but it's all self-published.
You write
I need
regularly?
a deal. I'm sitting on a book. If anybody knows anybody, that's probably my best work, and I have not published it anywhere. They like that. Did you ever write?
I wrote like in high school, and like I said, I wrote for the high school newspaper and stuff, especially, but not a ton as far as creative writing outside of a couple of sketches that never went anywhere. Just funny stuff that made me laugh.
Yeah. You think you'll continue on with sketches in the future?
I always have ideas for them, and I would like to find a chance to do more.
Yeah.
But for the most part, my focus is writing stand-up.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you got a new 10 minutes?
That's the goal for the next few months, is to really get to a point where I like a new 10,
all right,
where I have stuff that I actively like doing. I know I'm in November. There's the Funniest Person in Ham Bones contest.
Really?
Yeah, part of the Burning Bridges Comedy Club.
I need to keep track of everything. When does this start?
So I'm on the show November 11th at 8 p.m.
That's a good day.
But the week before that, they're doing shows as well. So there's
November
a total
11th.
of 4
that's
shows.
2 11s. That's if you're into
number 1 4 times.
Well, no, it's the number 11 twice, but it's very lucky. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Why is 11 lucky?
It just
that was my best friend from high school's football number.
Because it's 10 plus 1. In
Spinal Tap. That's why it's.
I know in Jewish numerology that 12 is the first whole number, but for everybody else it's 10. So 11 is completion plus 1.
Okay.
If there's any hippie weirdos that are into the kind of stuff that I'm into. I don't know.
What other numbers do you get excited about?
I get excited about 1, 3, 7, 11, and my birth date, and the time when I noticed that. Do you know what time you were born? Like the exact time?
I don't. I know the address that all my friends in college lived at was 456, so that one means a lot to me.
All right.
And then I saw the Mr. Rogers documentary, and
what did you think about that? Did they tell you that he was from Latrobe? Because I know that he broadcasts out of Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh takes a lot of credit, but he's from Latrobe. Like when he says it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, he's not talking about Pittsburgh. The neighborhood is Latrobe. I just want everybody to know this.
And Scott's not bitter at all.
I'm not bitter. I just want credit where it is meant to be.
Was that where you were born?
No, I was not born there.
Why are you so mad about it?
I'm not mad about it. I'm just a passionate person in general. It comes off as anger, but that's just passion's fire. I don't know what to tell you.
The misunderstandings of poor Mr. Rogers. Well, I hope the Tom Hanks movie does a better job, because I don't know that they hit it maybe as the moral of the documentary version, but hopefully You Are My Friend, when they finish that movie, will be a little bit better. But 143 is what he always weighed. He weighed
really?
143 pounds.
They told you that in the documentary, but they didn't tell you that he was talking about Latrobe.
The reason is because I is 1, and then love 4, and then you is 3. 143, and that's his way of just kind of checking himself and mastering balance in the universe.
He was a kind of a strange fellow, wasn't he?
Well, I think it's very interesting. He was somebody who wanted to go into the clergy, had intended to be a pastor for a long time, came home to Latrobe, and was watching, public access television, and it was kids witnessing clowns throwing pies at people and lowbrow kind of humor. Yeah. And he said, there's such a powerful tool here with television, it'd be nice if we had something that mattered.
Yeah.
And it's essentially, his way of proselytizing, being a good person, and not being overly religious about it, not hitting it on the head where it's one denomination over another, but really kind of seeking the value of humanity. And I think there was something really powerful about investing in the people that invest in you.
I watched Mr. Rogers when I was young.
I did too.
Yeah.
I was a big Sesame Street kid.
Yeah.
I think I don't have a ton of goals in comedy, but my number one goal is to at some point get to act with the Muppets if I ever reach any level of success.
How much fun would that be?
Yeah. I think I would love to be on Sesame Street and do something with Big Bird or Kermit or whatever.
I just imagine getting into a fight with one of the puppeteers, but we have to play it off.
Sure.
You know?
Oscar's giving you a noogie.
Well, no, just they're acting, right? They're voice actors and puppeteers. So they're different people underneath. So what if they just don't like me, right? And you're there and they're like, hey, fuck you. And then they're like, and then you have to talk to the puppet, but you're angry now because the guy just told you to go fuck yourself. And
it's a very specific kind of nightmare you're having about the opportunity to maybe act with a puppet one day.
No,
Lunch Meat has prepared me for puppets not to like me.
Oh, that's great. And that's Will Ness, right?
It is. Will Ness, very funny comedian here in town, one of my favorite people.
He's a funny guy.
So dark and on stage.
So dark, but relatable darkness.
And just the sweetest guy in the world off stage. He and his fiancée Meg are so easy to be around, and getting the chance to collaborate with him on a monthly basis for the times that we were doing the show is one of my favorite projects I've ever gotten to do.
Right on. Yeah. What was your favorite part?
I liked getting people like Alex Homiak and Alex Stapula and people who have characters that they've done on other shows.
Oh, yeah.
And get them to come and do
their character on your show.
And get to do it as an individual monologue. You get to see Homiak really expand on Electric Suede, which is a guitar player who's a time traveler, and Alex Stapula getting to do Jägermeister Tempelhof with the studio audience instead of the video series that he does.
How many people did you have in the studio? In the audience?
It depends on the show. I mean, each month would vary.
What did it average out to, 10?
10 to 20, yeah.
That's pretty good.
We had probably a 45 or a 50 night here or there, but you never know, man. I've been very lucky with a lot of shows I've promoted that people come out and you try your best. Yeah. You know that comedy is not always the priority for everybody.
Yeah, isn't that a shame? I mean, we really need to do something about it. At least Pittsburgh culture. We could just make it so that everybody really pays a lot of attention. I don't know how to do this.
Well,
but I feel like there are a lot of people working on it.
You'll see, obviously, as somebody who's now working the kitchen in Ham Bones, with Burning Bridges Comedy Festival starting the first weekend in October with Sam
Talent. That's going to be exciting.
Every Saturday night at 8 and 10:30, there are stand-up shows in the dining room at Ham Bones. Every Sunday at 8, there's The Residency, which is a show where they are having one stand-up either host or feature, but there's one stand-up who every week of the month is performing as a part of that show, and the lineups will change, but that person is getting the chance to work at their skill set, have comics that are at least a little bit further along who are helping organize this Burning Bridges Club to invest in them and talk to them about their goals. And I'd love to see more of that. And I think that having John Dick Winters, having Derek Minto as these two guys running point on the Bridges
and they
Club,
know what they're doing.
They've been doing it a long time. Race to the Coffin has been at this for as long as I've been around, more, even probably longer, 6-7 years now, as the kind of voices, them. And then Epicast, where they're promoting shows. They're putting up stuff on a daily basis, weekly basis, and they're investing in the local scene. Hopefully with the Improv getting new management, we'll see if Homestead has that, because it hasn't always been a club that invested in the local scene.
Is the Improv getting new management again?
They are. They're reopening. I don't know about new management per se, but they've had a lot of posts up where they're looking to add new staff throughout, and they've been closed for about a month now for renovations. There's going to be an outside bar. There's going to be some different components.
An outside bar.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit more variety.
And the city's all right with that? Because the waterfront is very bougie, middle classy, Bed Bath & Beyond, Barnes & Nobles.
Some of that. You get a lot of people out from the suburbs on the weekend down there, though, that want to do something. It's not a ton of people from the city, per se.
Yeah, is
so
that
we want
the
the city folks to go.
That one?
I think for Homestead, for the waterfront, I think, at least in my experience, is performing at the Improv. It's been a lot of suburb people, a lot of bringer-type shows.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... Actually, it's the whole... People aren't coming out for me. Not yet, anyway.
Okay.
So the bringer shows I feel bad about. If you bring, I'll make them laugh at least once in my set. Or I'll bomb. But I usually do pretty decent. But no, nobody's coming out specifically for me. Except for maybe Aaron Douglas and his fiancée, and
that would be nice of them.
It's not enough.
Aaron, come on, bring a couple friends maybe.
They wanted 4. I went on, I got 2. I didn't do so good that night anyway. I don't know. The Improv is weird in Pittsburgh. It's like it's an interesting venue.
But like we were just talking about Ham Bones
thing.
being the Burning Bridges Comedy Club, it's a good chance for there to be. It's the first ever independent stand-up club because we have 3 improv theaters, but we don't have a stand-up devoted venue in the city.
Yeah, no, that's I love Jeff Holt's vision of constantly having great shows at Ham Bones. They have trivia night on Wednesday. They have burlesque shows sometimes. They have this Burning Bridges is what we're all most excited about, of course.
I find almost every time that I'm on mic, I find a way to brag about Jeff Holt and Ham Bones. So
love Jeff Holt.
I do too.
It's like Steve Holt. I throw my hands up. Jeff Holt. Do you like Arrested Development?
I do. I haven't watched the newest season, but I really liked the first 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Season 4 was good.
Well, I don't know. They all got so old I don't care anymore. But before it was fun. You know? When Michael Cera was a kid and you didn't know he was going to turn into a weird movie star.
Michael Cera's he was weird back then.
Yeah, he was weird back then, but like, come on, man. He was going to turn into Scott Pilgrim.
Never saw Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, I like that. It has my first name in it, so I was like, I'll give it a shot. Plus, I was still in my 20s when it came out.
And that's who the movie's meant for?
Yeah,
guys in their 20s?
I think they made that movie for me in my 20s, to be quite honest.
You think that the studio made the movie for Scott Israel?
Yeah, yes.
Did it resonate with you
Have you
that
ever
much?
seen The Truman Show?
Yeah.
All right, well, did you never feel like that? Like,
no.
They're just all spying on me. And
you think everyone's out here trying to get into your brain?
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what's going on?
Yeah, just watching me and laughing at me. You know?
How, though? Don't you believe you're a time traveler?
Well, I am, and I am a self-aware interdimensional time traveler, but I do that through meditation, not physically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can still be paranoid about the world being above you.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, for sure.
I gotcha. Did you teach yoga at Ham Bones? Did I see that correctly?
I did yesterday.
How was that?
It was okay. We could use a better turnout. Like if
always helps. Yeah,
if comedians want to come. Like, I derive a lot of my superpowers from yoga. You could develop superpowers yourself, especially, like, it helped me with my physical health and my writing and comedy and stuff like that. It's interesting, and it's not a real contortionist yoga. Like, you could do it. You could do it for sure.
I've done a handful of yoga classes in my life. I enjoy it. I need a good stretch every now and then.
Yeah.
Should make it a bigger priority. What time is that on Saturdays?
11:30 in the morning. It is getting super loud.
It is.
What is up with that, Todd? There's nothing we can do about it.
Okay.
All right.
It's a little bebop.
So wait. Thank you, though.
It's giving shout-outs to Skilo, it sounds like.
It is. Maybe that if you buy, like, an expensive tequila shot, they play this song really loud for you.
That's not a bad theme for a bar, like drink-specific, music cues.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be great. Wouldn't that be great? How much fun would that be?
I don't know, when I was at Dayton, we all played Thunderstruck.
Yeah.
Did you ever do that, where you get in a big circle when AC/DC comes on?
No.
Anytime they say Thunder or then Thunderstruck, it switches to who's chugging around the circle.
I have a super low tolerance for alcohol. I can't do drinking games. I will end up just on the floor. It's not good. I tried it a couple of times in college. Yeah, it was a learning experience, you know. What did you learn? Did you go to college? What did you learn?
I went to the University of Dayton. We did play a lot of drinking games.
Right? You know, that's out in Ohio.
Kings,
those guys are all known for partying.
Yeah, Midwest, there's not much else to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, did you ever tip a cow? Are you from Pittsburgh?
No, I grew up in Dayton, Ohio. Born in New Jersey, but moved to Ohio in the 4th grade.
No kidding. I got ties to Jersey,
college.
too. Where in New Jersey?
Englewood, Bergen County, near Eddie Murphy's house. Yeah.
I graduated high school in Tenafly.
Oh, very close.
Which is literally, Tenafly is next to Englewood.
Yep.
Yeah, that's Bergen County.
All
Holy crap.
Central Jersey, now closer to Rutgers, but
I really liked it there.
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
I
really
Anytime we've
did.
gone back, I really like it out that way.
Yeah, and it's close to New York City.
New York's beautiful. I got family on Roosevelt Island and in Washington Heights.
Really?
So I get up there as often as I can to see them.
I lived in Washington Heights for a year after high school, before college.
Nice, yeah. My cousin Nick and his girlfriend have been there for 10 plus years now, and they love it.
Isn't Roosevelt Island like real swanky?
It's nice. Yeah,
They have like mansions. Is it mansions?
My uncle
there?
and aunt have like a dual apartment
I don't
next
know
to each other.
what the fuck they're
It
doing.
happens, you know. Somebody downstairs. I'm a jukebox guy at Hambones. I like putting on tracks. I get it. What do you not? You never put your money in there and get your jam going? It's not necessarily conducive to this interview.
You know what? I got really excited about jukeboxes when I was a kid, but for the most part, they don't have the music that I like. But sometimes, you know, nowadays that connects to the internet and you can get literally any song. But I don't want to pay any more money for music.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You're paying for ambiance.
Yeah.
You get to determine the mood of the bar.
Well,
and this is what someone determined the mood of the bar was going to be.
I guess.
Not my first choice, but, you know.
Oh, I don't even know what this... Do you know what this is?
I don't know this song.
All right.
I haven't recognized it.
You pay attention to a lot of different music.
I do, yeah. I like music a lot.
I remember from at least one of your jokes is real centered on music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like a lot of, that's a lot of 70s, like, soul music, 60s and 70s. I like Sam Cooke. I like, you know, Otis Redding, Marvin Gaye, that sort of era.
Right on. So, and new stuff, too?
Yeah, I just saw Sturgill Simpson, who's new country, who I'm a big fan of. Eric Church I saw a couple years ago.
Right on.
I definitely I'm excited for the new Kanye album. We've been very blessed to get him on 5 records this year, and he's got another one that's going to be dropping here in a couple weeks. So
yeah, Kanye is a madman, for sure. So how'd you like? When'd you get into music, in high school?
Yeah, probably younger even. I remember probably like 3rd grade. I got like TLC and Boys to Men CDs. I had cousins that were a couple years older than me. My cousin Laura and I are 2 weeks apart, and then she has older sister and an older brother. And we would spend summers with them. And so like any music knowledge I got was kind of passed down from them.
That's cool.
So I was big into like pop music throughout junior high, and got more and more into like classic rock as I got older. A lot of new metal like high school. I listened to Korn and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
too, for a big era. But
awesome.
I've tried my best to have a wide variety of different types of musicians in my ears over the years.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that sort of music diversity and like art diversity is just gonna help you with a deeper understanding of what you're doing, you know?
I always want something on in the background, so it sets, like you said, it sets the mood, it sets the tone.
Sure.
That's honestly my favorite part, because I don't write the questions for trivia. Once a week, that's what I go into.
Who writes the questions?
A guy named Zach Roach, who's a comedian who does some sketch work here in town.
I know Zach.
Yeah, so I took the room over from him 2 years ago, but he still writes the show every week because he hosts in other bars. And so my only real responsibility is to make a playlist that allows for people at the Beer Hive to have a good time for 22 to 23 songs.
All right, so what are your most repeated artists on your playlist?
A lot of Whitney Houston.
Yeah?
A lot of Drake.
I like Whitney.
A lot of Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Because it's a younger crowd, but I can go anywhere from like 21 to mid-60s, some of my regulars.
Where is this, at the Beer Hive?
At the Beer Hive.
Do you do it upstairs or downstairs?
So I'm immediately to the left when you walk in downstairs.
All right.
But I have teams that play from upstairs, and we'll run down their answers every question.
That's funny. All right.
So I try to keep it varied. I do a lot of stuff from
what kind
like
of specials
the
they
60s,
have?
the 70s.
I know they have good food at the Beer Hive.
Yeah, during the hockey
really
games, they've got Discount Labatt Blue, which a lot of times there'll be a Thursday Penguin game.
Nice.
And then the other times, it's $3 Yinglings, I think.
Yeah.
But what I always tell people is come right before the show starts at 7, because their happy hour runs until 7 o'clock.
Right.
And you can get half-price appetizers.
Ooh.
So, like, their
nice.
nachos go down to, like, $2.50 instead of $5. You can get pretzels for a pretty good price. They're fried pickles. They do Pittsburgh Pickle Company there.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like a good pickle.
So show up before, and then you'll be able to get the food, and then just drink the $3 Yinglings and hang out.
Nice.
That's my recommendation. And then, I'll take requests from a few regular teams, but I always just try to make sure the music is varied enough.
Fun, upbeat.
Fun, yeah. I want people to be dancing. I want somebody to bob their head.
You want to keep the energy high.
Throw on, Crossroads, Bone Thugs and Harmony, and see people get like, oh, yeah, and blow up, man.
Oh, for sure.
That's a blast.
Yeah. Well, that's great, man. I don't know. Where do you? I feel like have we equally explored improv podcast and trivia night?
We've talked about a lot of it.
Yeah.
I enjoy all of it.
Yeah.
What about your writing? Do you miss writing novels?
Well, I was telling this to Eric Williams because he works at Ham Bones in the kitchen now too.
Man, they're hiring everybody, Jeff.
Well, I told him just keep hiring comedians. They seem to be the only ones who really show up on time and know how to. There's something about being a comedian. Do you know how to cook?
I can cook for myself. I wouldn't call myself somebody who's cooking for large numbers of people.
Do you know what I wanted to ask you? And this we're in our last 10 minutes, and I did want to save it.
Yeah.
Listen, you have the opportunity or the good fortune to be dating one of the funniest women in Pittsburgh.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah, no, I'm blessed for sure that she likes to spend time with me.
Yeah, how is that?
It's wonderful.
Girlfriends and such?
I'm just as lucky as everybody else that I get to watch her on stage because she's such a talent, and there's nobody who ever comes up to me and says anything but gush about how funny she is.
Yeah, well, she's very clever and knows how to turn a phrase for sure. Now, do you guys help each other write jokes?
To some extent, but really, she handles a lot of her stuff. She had all the experience from Pit Tonight. We'll talk about bits if we're about to try something new. Right. But it's not as if we're writing together per se.
Right on. Is it weird to date another comedian?
I think it's not about the comedian aspect. It's a little bit more our age difference than anything else. Just having
you're close to my age.
Yeah,
right?
I'm 32.
All right.
I know she's in her we'll call early mid 20s. She's 23. So it's not a big gap.
10 years.
But there's different stuff going on. So I wouldn't say the comic thing is actually reassuring. It's nice to date somebody else because we know all the same characters and we have to go to the same venues. So, cool. There are nights when she gets to come and hang out at my shows. Yeah. There are nights when I get to go and hang out at her shows. And then there are nights when we're both working on different parts of town. And we get to reconvene at the end of the night and compare notes on how the shows went, how everybody else did, and talk about you guys.
Right on.
But yeah, I'm very lucky that I have anybody who wants to date me. And I'm especially lucky that it's somebody who is that much funnier than most of the people. Not just women, but she's just one of the funniest people we have in town.
I would agree with that for sure. Yeah. Well, that was a great answer, Garrett.
Thanks, man.
Garrett Titlebaum.
Thank you for having me over here.
What is the name of
the podcast is Garrett Titlebaum. It's nice to see he's working.
It's not. And it is nice to see that you're working.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
If people want to see me work, I've got a couple shows coming up.
I was just going to ask.
Yeah, man, I've been doing this
You're
a while.
a mind reader. Smooth operator. Garrett Titlebaum, everybody.
On October 26th, it's a Friday night, 10:30. I'll be down at Club Cafe.
That's a good time slot.
Really excited to do the show
down
at
Club Cafe. I've been
to a bunch of shows. I've never been on a lineup there, so I get to do this one.
Caddy Corner down the street is this great taco joint.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I would definitely suggest to hit up the taco joint.
Do you like to eat tacos before you go on stage?
I like to eat before I go on stage.
Do you?
Yeah, I know that it bothers some people. They don't like. But
yeah, I'll take a few hours with no new food in my stomach before a set if I can help it.
Do you feel better that way?
Yeah, I feel a little bit lighter without a meal in that 90 minutes.
It makes me feel more confident. It's some sort of weird subconscious thing. It's look, you got food in your belly. You're going up. You're going to be fine.
You're fed. You're safe.
Oh,
and now you get to see if you're safe on stage.
Yeah, I definitely like that. But
so the 26th, I got the Club Cafe show. The following weekend, November 3rd, I'm on Arcade at 9 o'clock, and then November 11th at 8 o'clock is the Burning Bridges Club show, the first annual Funniest Person in Pittsburgh, allegedly, contest that they're hosting, and the show that I'm on. But
it's going to be great.
2 shows, the first weekend and second weekend in November, and then the finals will be later on that month.
Those sound like 3 great gigs where we got the Arcade and
Club Cafe
and
Burning Bridges Comedy Club.
That's nice. You got
the Pittsburgh Triple Crown.
For serious, right?
That's what we started. We were talking about the 3 improv
theaters. Triple Crown, for sure. Facebook.
Yeah, it's nice to see he's working. You can find the Facebook page there, or I'm at Dropping Bombs, BAUMS, on Instagram and on Twitter.
There you go.
Don't post a ton on Twitter, but you might see me retweet some Simpsons garb or titular lines from movies, which is the only account I really still go there for.
Right on. When can we hear your podcast?
Podcast comes out every Tuesday. You can subscribe on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Laughable, which is just for comedy podcasts.
Nice.
It's a pretty cool service. And then you can go to itsnicetosee'sworking.com and just listen to it right on the website if you want there. New episodes every Tuesday night.
Nice.
Unplanned comedy pods. We got a lot of other shows. If you go to the website, you can check them out as well.
All right, so check out Garrett Titlebaum. I'm your host, Scott Israel. You've been listening to Scotty Presents. My producer is Todd DeFazio. We're on idiotradio.net. And the silly song we close out from is from Broctopus. It's called Scotty.